Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our Mercury retrograde in Leo reading. Mercury will go retrograde in Leo on July 18th through August 11th. It feels like we're going off script, which in this case is a good thing because for a lot of us, we need to throw out whatever script we've written for ourselves, whatever script people have written for you into their lives. They've written you into their lives, and it's likely that whatever they wrote is not enough. The Six of Pentacles, or the guidelines you've been following, they've been right, but you don't feel like it's getting you to where you want to be. So should you just follow it through to the end, or maybe it's time to do some revisions? You know, use your mind to clarify what it is exactly that would make you feel like a star in your life or your own thing or things. And you know, this Aquarian energy is perfect in a way, not because things play out perfectly, but because it's so focused on its own desires, its wishes, that it has to come together. It has to work out because they've invested the time and the energy. You've invested the time and energy to bring this thing into sharp focus and cut out what's not working and add in, innovate. So we're rewriting this script, and it is being done in a really healthy way where you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to get to that goal, to that desire that I really want, that thing that would make me feel like I'm shining in all the right ways in my life. I don't want to live a dull life. I want my life to be successful in the ways that matter to me. But also, this retrograde, it helps us find a way to take those personal passions that we have and tie in really generous aspects to it. How can your passions, how can your goals line up with things that the world really, really needs? The world around you, the world at large, your immediate world. And it's a big shakeup, and you shouldn't rush. You should let the ideas flow in, and you should let yourself rework them. You should, pin them down, write them down, and then let this tower tear it apart because it knows that there's a better way. This retrograde is chaotic because it's saying that what you're really struggling with here is true confidence. If you had the highest level of confidence that it would take for you to do whatever it is that you're doing on the highest level, you wouldn't do any of that. You wouldn't spend money or time or energy on any of those ideas that you just wrote down. If you didn't doubt yourself, there are a lot of people or situations, obligations that you've written into this script that aren't needed at all. So this retrograde is very impactful in that way because it's gonna shake up what you think is needed to perform at the next level. And that feels a little bit debilitating because Leo energy is fixed. So it's likely that you've really, really built up this vision for how things are supposed to work and how they're supposed to come together and who it's supposed to come together with and when it's supposed to come together. And again, this whole script, the Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands. And, in your mind, it's like when things look like this, that's when it's perfect, that's when it's working. But this retrograde, ooh, it's such a different view of things. You know, it's you looking at the things that you want the most and actually realizing that there's a lot of fear tied in with those goals that you have, and so it's guiding your thoughts around things. And you know, if you loved yourself so much more, and saying love yourself so much more, it sounds so generic because it's like, right, love yourself more, but no, really, the amount in which Leo energy loves itself, the energy that they need to give to themselves to really stand strong in their life and in their desires. It's a lot of love, it's a lot of attention, energy, all of that. And, you know, Leos are known for being self-centered and all of that, which is like, you know, that's fine. Call me self-centered all you want, but I feel great. Versus putting all my energy into whatever everyone else has decided is important, and they don't feel great. They're not happy, right? So sure, people might see you as a bit self-centered, and yeah, you might need to recalibrate how you balance this amount of love that needs to go to self with how you interact with them, how you interact with, you know, business partners, friends, lovers, you know, your community at large. And there's nothing wrong with that. So don't beat yourself up for being a little bit egotistical. Just keep doing the work. You know, if there's too much of anything energetically, you'll feel the kinks and the obstacles build up. And that's when you know, okay, let me, again, this recalibration, which retrogrades, this Mercury retrograde really is. It's, you know, it's a healthy sense of confidence. But sometimes you have to, you know, it's like if you're really dehydrated or something, you've got to like pump yourself with all, you know, everything that's needed to get you back to this place. You're not going to pump you and someone else. You're going to pump yourself first. And then you can go help this other person, but you can't do anything for the other person if, you know, you don't have what you need. So we're pumping ourselves with this confidence, and, you know, we're a little bit off, right? Throughout the retrograde, it's chaotic. It's, you know, we're loud when we should be a little bit more diplomatic. We are, you know, celebratory when we should be probably a little bit more critical of things that are really, really needed to make things happen. But that's all okay, because ultimately through this retrograde, we're getting, as Mercury always does, we're being equipped. You know, this is like a trial and error, so that by the end, you know exactly what tools you have, and you know exactly how you should be using them, and you know what you want to use them for. And I think that, you know, it's easy to stimulate yourself through this Leo energy. It's easy to feel stimulated, like you're getting everything that you want just because you have this feeling. But really what this Leo energy wants is to be truly impactful in its own life and in its life, you know, in the lives of others, in the things that it wants to achieve, and, you know, the experiences that it wants to have. And it feels like, you know, whatever script it is that you're following today, it's missing a lot of elements. Some of this vision needs to be scrapped completely, because, you know, fixed energy, it's concentrated, and so, you know, you've got to really whip this vision into shape. Let's talk about sharing your attention with the wrong people and kind of expecting people to play this role, you know, kind of, you know, this is like the daddy card, you know, people, you know, stepping into your life and, you know, kind of setting the pathway forward for your life, as we talked about in the beginning. that's not, these people, they're not in charge actually. So you shouldn't give them that authority. And for anyone who's trying to play that role in your life or trying to, take on that authority in your life, essentially stepping over your boundaries, this retrograde is great because it pulls everybody back to their own responsibilities and to their own stage. And so people can focus on themselves. So anyone who's been dipping into your goals or you've been dipping into their goals, there's like this snap back that happens. We're all kind of back into focus when it comes to the things that we love, and there's not a lot of time to, again, bleed into what other people have going on. And so it's okay if things have been weird. It's okay if people have been overstepping or you've been overstepping. As this retrograde comes into play, everyone snaps back into focus in terms of their own objectives and wants to pour every bit of their energy there. And if you're struggling with making a separation from a situation like that, what you have to do is lean in completely into your purpose and go quickly there. It's easy to go really, really fast. It's easy to connect with people from the past or people from the present who are fully in alignment with what you have going on versus these outside influences that you feel are, taking you where they want you to go. And that's just weird, isn't it? I think so. Love during retrograde is, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it around, but there's also a lot of lust, the Seven of Cups. You want something really slow, really deep, but also someone that cares consistently. Fixed energy can tolerate a lot, but what it really finds value in long term is people who value quality consistently and who can provide it, which a lot of people can't. So you'll be able to weed out people who take your consistent need for quality. You'll be able to see it very quickly because they just can't sustain. They can't be consistent, or they just don't measure up to what you're looking for, which makes it really, really easy to rejoin, to find the connections that do measure up. But you have to believe and you have to know that the abundance that you're looking for feels much, much better than whatever sad story they've convinced you to take part in. Retrograde on the way. We'll get through it. It's going to be crazy as always, as all retrogrades always are. So let's buckle up and take good care of ourselves, and I'll talk to you in August. Bye, guys. Oh, you can schedule private and birth chart readings with me through the link in my bio and description. Bye.